Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Yeah, it's great to be here, post-Oscars.
Jonathan Voico.
Good morning.
Chris Carr.
It's great to be here post-earthquake.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show, this post-Oscar Monday show part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off today by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. And then in the second part of the show, well, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like us to address, go ahead and drop it on into our tip link that you can see right here at www.streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. Great news is this tip link is actually good 24 hours a day. So even if you're not watching the show live and can't send in a question for today's show, maybe you're listening to our podcast feed on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Maybe you're watching the show a little bit later in the day. You can still send in a question 24/7. And if you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode, provided that we deem your question appropriate to be addressed on our show. All right, guys. It's a big day. It's post-Oscar Monday. It is Daredevil Eve.
Ooh.
Daredevil drops tomorrow.
Wasn't even
You didn't even plan that.
No.
It was precious.
By the way, midnight tonight's the last episode of Paradise, too.
It is, when's the last episode?
Tonight.
Oh,
At
I
midnight.
still haven't watched the last, I only watched episodes because it's 9 episodes?
8.
8, so I did see the 7.
Yes.
What's the last, second last one?
Tonight at midnight, baby.
Gonna have to watch a new episode. That's a big day going on. And let's get things started here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. You know, physical media might not be the safe bet that a lot of people seem to think it is.
Why you got to do that to me?
Now, listen. There's a long-running discussion and sometimes debate about the merits of physical media versus digital. Rob is like one of the most hardcore physical media guys I know. I am a digital guy. I switched to digital a decade ago, whatever. There are pros and cons, absolutely, for both sides. But one of the often steadfast arguments for physical is, well, once you've got it, you've always got it. That might not be the case. The folks over at Joe Blow, one of the article, Chris Bumbray over there, who is longtime film journalist online, he's been with Joe Blow forever. He wrote an interesting story about going to load up one of his old DVDs that he was just had the hankering to watch one of these, and it didn't play. And he thought, oh, it's my player. So he ran around, found another player. Then about a month later, he went to put in a different disc, and it didn't play. Turns out it's a much bigger issue, as there are a bunch of DVDs, not all, certainly not all, but a bunch of DVDs that suffer from a certain condition where people are finding out their physical media just doesn't work. The headline is, hundreds of your Warner Brothers DVDs probably won't work anymore. And it goes on to talk about it could become a problem with others as well. They wrote this in their article. It turns out that virtually every Warner Brothers DVD disc manufactured between 2006 and 2008 has succumbed to the dreaded laser rot, where discs simply stop working due to a rotting of the layers. Once it happens, it cannot be undone. This was a frequent problem with laser discs back in the 80s and 90s, but it wasn't a huge problem with DVDs. The issue comes down to the way the discs were authored. Many of the titles affected, which range from classics like The Wild Bunch and The Shawshank Redemption to TV collections like Dukes of Hazzard, have been reissued on Blu-ray or digital HD. So, what can be done about this? Nothing. Now look, it does need to be pointed out that while there have been other issues of what they're calling laser rot on other discs as well, there's not been any wide reported problem of a particular group of them like there have been with the Warner Brothers discs in that era. But they're quick to point out, it has been known to happen in Blu-rays. It has been known to happen in others as well. So, Rob, to me, it seems like the message is, if you are a physical media collector, collect them, but it might be wise to create digital copies of them as well as may be the safer way to go. And what happens now to your physical media? Is there a way to prevent laser rot? I mean, I don't know any of this stuff.
So what's really interesting is laser rot is actually oxidation, and it's rust essentially. And so what happened with laser discs were a piece of aluminum that were put between two pieces of plastic, basically. And the glue on Laserdiscs failed, and it allowed air to get into the aluminum, and it would literally rust, causing what looked like a speckly, star-filled muck haze static that was across the image. There's nothing you can do about it. Once it's happened, it's
done.
It's done. Now, it was probably a manufacturing issue between 2006 and 2008. That was also the crossover time when Blu-ray was being introduced. You know, that's when I got my PlayStation 3, which was my first Blu-ray player. And so there's really nothing that can be done. Now, I have CDs from 1983. My first CD was Billy Joel's Greatest Hits. And that was the first one I got, and it still plays fine. You know, and but this is a problem. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a real problem is a lot of these movies that were finished digitally, like even big movies like Kill Bill or Amelie or something, they have to keep, unless they make color separation celluloid, you know, like red, green, blue, celluloid, unless they do those, which is expensive, and a lot of people don't want to do that, film preservation from the 2000s on is going to be difficult because digital mediums are changing, and their movies have to be completely, I mean, there's got to be a real effort. Eventually, I've heard like glass, they'll be able to like save things on literally like glass crystals.
I saw that too. Yeah,
you know, maybe that'll work, but it is a danger, and it is something that people should be cognizant of. And if you have like a Plex system or something, you should rip your discs. Now, I don't, but then again, I barely have any DVDs left. My favorite thing in life, John, is when a better resolution, a DVD gets replaced by a Blu-ray or 4K disc. I have a little ritual I perform when I take one out, put the other in the slot.
Are you dressed when you do it?
No. I now consecrate the bonds of obedience. Now I'm wearing a robe, and I drink a special elixir.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris, I mean, I know, much like Rob, when we were moving, I came across one of my old CD books, you know, where maybe back in the 90s, I may have participated in getting The Matrix and burning it onto a disc. And surprisingly enough, they still worked. But a couple of copies of my own movie, the little Star Wars fan film we did, Rise of the Trades, we had the full DVD thing made and all that kind of stuff. Like 3 out of the 4 of them wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah, because were those DVD like R's or pluses?
I can't remember. I
like
know we had a
gel.
little local company author them for us.
Yeah, they use a gel. Those things, some of those haven't
Just
lasted.
terrible. But I know you also were a practitioner in the art of CD books and stuff like that.
Yes.
Have you ever had a problem with pulling out one of your old discs and maybe finding it not working properly?
Yeah, well, when Amy and I went to watch Blood Diner, her German DVD didn't work on our
Jackie
DVD
Hong's
players.
Blood
Yeah,
Diner?
yeah.
Why were you watching Blood Diner?
Because it's Amy's favorite movie. It's one of her favorite Halloween movies.
Man, I saw that at the Seattle International Film Festival, and Jackie Hong spoke afterwards. She was just a dark delicacy speaking like a month ago.
Oh, dang.
She could have had it signed.
I know, but we had trouble with that. And then we were able to watch it on Pluto TV of all
Nice.
places.
Wow.
Streaming saves the day
yeah.
again.
But
That's her favorite Halloween
it's
movie?
one of her favorite Halloween movies.
I got to talk to her
yeah,
about that.
yeah, she wanted to have my brain rot, which laser rot feels like what my brain is doing every time I look at a screen. So I'm glad we have a term for that now. I feel like this has been an ongoing slow death for a while. It
Why do you
doesn't
gotta
make it
be that
any
way?
less upsetting. It
Why you
doesn't
gotta
make it
be
any
that way?
upsetting. But I do like the fact that supposedly, if you go to the WB store, they will potentially replace your DVD if it
Yes,
does
there
have
have
that
been
laser
reports
damage.
of some people getting in touch with WB
Yes.
and WB issuing
they're still in print.
Exactly. That's the
Yes.
caveat is, are they still making that DVD in the first place? So this is the time too to just go and double check all of the stuff that you own, back it up on a hard drive or two, make sure that you have that physical media still, because sure, maybe later on you will be able to stream it on another service. It's my husband's favorite pastime. He's that John Mulaney joke of like, why would I put in that Blu-ray when I could just watch it because it's on TV right now?
Right.
But that's not always the case. You know, we've seen this with a lot of streaming platforms where they pull content, especially original content. So if you fall in love with something that was made for a streamer, might not be there at some point. So with your own materials, I highly, highly recommend backing it all up.
which is essentially becoming digital.
Yep.
But again, it kind of reemphasizes the point that in the ongoing argument about like digital and physical, there really is, you're going to give up something with one, you're going to give up something with the other. There's no real perfect answer other than maybe invest in both. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you ever had an issue like this? According to Joe Blow, it's becoming a more widespread problem, sometimes isolated, sometimes not. What have you done about that? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to this, shall we? Common topic among men, going off prematurely. It's something that happens, but did you know it can also happen to the Oscars?
Not for me. I don't know who you're talking to.
No, it can also happen with the Oscars. As a lot of people last night, they made a big deal out of it that the Oscars are going to be streaming on Hulu. You know, this is the way of the future.
Wave of the future.
And so people who were counting on that and tuned into Hulu to watch the Oscars right before they got to Best Picture, just before they announced who won Best Actress. They're watching it. It's like, and the nominees are, this presentation has concluded. Comes across their screen. This comes from the folks at The Verge who wrote this. The Hulu subscribers watching the Academy Awards ceremony on Sunday night were outraged when the streaming service ended its broadcast before the show was actually over. Viewers saw a "thank you for watching" message that falsely claimed the live event has now ended, despite the fact that the Best Actress and Best Pictures Oscars were still to come. Social media platforms and the Hulu subreddit immediately lit up with complaints and threats of cancellation. This is not the first time that a major streamer has decided to play around with a live event and had things go terribly wrong. I remember when Netflix tried that thing. What was it? The Love is Blind finale? Was that the one that they did? That was their first big attempt at a big live thing. Bleh. Netflix, again, tried the big boxing match stuff. They had problems, like significant problems with it. Hulu now trying to stream the Oscars. It ends before, like, I can't imagine a worse time for that thing to go off. Now, if you were watching it on ABC or on YouTube TV or stuff like that, everything went off fine. If you're just watching the regular broadcast, went off fine. But this continues to show that while all these streamers are now desperately trying to become cable again, now we're going to be all about sports and live TV and like, oh, so we're becoming cable again, but still they're still in their growing pains, despite the fact that they are massive corporations with massive amounts of money and they know it's on the line. And you know what they said ultimately the problem was? They had kind of pre-programmed it to end at 10:32 p.m.
Oh, they DVR'd it.
Yeah, they basically think, oh, that's plenty of time.
They
That's
gotta
plenty
give
of
it
time.
another 15,
And
20
nobody
minutes.
thought that this could be an issue. They didn't want to pay a kid to just sit there and hit the stop button manually. No, let's
Apparently, no one's ever watched the Oscars.
Conan did say he
Yes.
wasn't going to waste their time.
We're not going to waste, and we'll talk more about the Oscars themselves later. I got a lot to say about that, but it's still the growing pains. Chris, we've already seen, like, this has happened to Netflix. It's now happened to Hulu. I expect it's going to happen more as more of these streamers try these big live things. But I mean, if you're a big movie fan and watching out, this has got to be pretty upsetting. How did you watch them?
I did watch it on Hulu.
Oh, really?
And I didn't have this issue. That's why I'm very confused. I saw this topic and went, no, that didn't happen for me.
Maybe your brain just filled in.
Now, here's a question. Were you watching it on Hulu or were you watching it on Hulu plus live TV and watching the ABC stream on Hulu?
We just went and watched it live last
Just
night.
so you watched it live?
Yeah, but I don't pay for Hulu Live.
Oh, okay. So you're watching on the regular Hulu.
Oh, so
It
on
didn't happen
Hulu
for you.
then.
Yeah, just on Hulu. And I didn't have an issue with it. So I really don't have anything to add here.
That's very strange because it seems like it
Yeah.
would have been across the board if that was the case.
We had loading issues constantly where we'd like exit and pop back
Oh,
in.
Hulu's been doing that to me a lot.
Yeah,
lately.
we've been watching most of our stuff on Disney Plus instead of Hulu, like all of like Paradise
Yeah,
and everything.
that's what I do.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what we did last night because Logan's the one who set it up. But yeah, all of these streamers need to get their poop in a group, especially if you own the channel, so to speak, the
That's
network
It is like
that you're
ABC
broadcasting
affiliated.
from. Yeah. That's what I couldn't get over, which in just hearing about this is you really couldn't do this? You couldn't broadcast your own broadcast for the duration of it? Interesting.
Rob, what do you think about the people who are watching this and all of a sudden it cuts out?
Well, it didn't surprise me. I saw that last night. People got the end clipped, and it's like, since when does anybody count on the Oscars ending at a specific place.
I know.
In the history of the Oscars, that has never happened. Maybe it happened when Wings won in 1927 or something, when that wasn't broadcast because there was no TV then. But it's silly to me that something like that would have happened, that nobody would have thought, hey, wait a minute. But, it doesn't surprise me anymore because no one knows anything.
Does this create a problem, though, for streamers moving forward? Like, how can I...
Well, think of it was a Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, how, if you're Hulu, do you go to the audience, say, hey, come watch this event on our platform, and not have people... Because I remember after the stuff happened with Netflix and their live stream and stuff, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to watch that game that's coming up on Netflix because I don't want to have the problems that people had. Like, is this going to be something that they're going to have to repair trust with the audience? Or do you think this is something the audience is going to think, you know what? It's growing pains. We get it. You had a problem, but we don't think you're going to... How do you think the audience is going to respond to this?
Well, I think, look, the audience just wants something to work. And there's going to be, if you're going to delve into live television, especially things like sporting events or award shows or whatever else, I mean, the only thing you can program is something that's pre-made. You have a TV shows, for instance, what people don't understand is when they make a TV show that's broadcast, you have broadcast standards. You're talking about the exact frame. You're down to the frame when you insert commercials. There's not like 5 extra frames or 3 extra frames. When you're watching a show, it's precise down to the frame. Now, that doesn't happen with a live event. And so unless they get their act together, which they're going to have to do, they've got to figure that out. It's surprising to me that someone hadn't figured it out already.
Yeah,
with the Oscars.
The part to me, again, is just that you had to program when it would be over, but you couldn't just have somebody there monitoring it. And I don't know. Again, growing pains. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Hulu had an oopsie. I mean, cutting off the Oscars right before the two of the biggest of the night, including the biggest of the night. Inexcusable. How do you think people are going to respond? Do you think people will understand, hey, it's growing pains and they'll get back on? Do you think people might have some trepidation about going to Hulu for the next live thing they do? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still have a couple of other things to talk about, including the Oscars, the biggest night of the movie year last night. Some surprises, some expected things. Overall, a really good show. But also, we're going to talk about those supposed leaks that came out of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret War stuff. Are they valid or not? If so, what are we learning from it? We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at PrizePicks. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. All right, guys, if you're watching basketball this season and not playing PrizePicks, you are seriously missing out. This is hands down the most fun way to get in on the action. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats like points, rebounds, or assists for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's available in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. This week, I'm looking at the board and I'm going with Luka Doncic for more than 25 points and Jason Tatum for more than 8 rebounds. That's my lineup. Simple, quick, and way more fun to watch the games. And on top of that, PrizePicks hooks you up with awesome promos like Taco Tuesday, where you get player projections at a discount for even bigger value. So download the app today and use the code CAMPEA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. Just play $5 and you get $50 automatically. PrizePicks. Run your game. And thank you to our friends at PrizePicks for sponsoring tonight's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Last night, of course, was the Oscars, the biggest night of the year in the movie industry. Conan O'Brien was hosting the show last night, and I gotta say, I thought he did a really good job.
Me too.
He went out to the limb a little bit, never went too far outside of it. He was always charming. He knew when to be really silly. He knew when not to be. Show kept moving despite the runtime. I think about 35 minutes of the runtime was due to Adrian Brody, but whatever. Overall, I thought it was a really good show. Let me just mention a couple of the things that were highlights for me about the show. Number one, I love that they took a moment to honor Gene Hackman. I mean, he is, again, I admit, in these circles, we all overuse the term one of the greatest of all time. He is absolutely in that club. He is one of the greatest of all time. And it just happened. They took a moment to honor him before the in memoriam. Thought that was really, I'm also glad they did the same with Quincy Jones. And they did that whole get on down the road spit. I also got to say this, man. When I first heard that they were going to open the show with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, just doing a little medley from Wicked, I thought, well, this is going to be good. I don't know if it's a good idea. I loved it.
Yep.
And I loved the choice to start with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, like to connect it to the Wizard of Oz and stuff like that. And then they did that. And like, I saw in the audience as she's finishing up, what's the name of the song again? Look to the western sky. What's the name?
Defying Gravity?
Defying Gravity. Mm-hmm. When she's finishing up Defying Gravity, then the camera goes in the audience. You literally see people in tears. And then I'm like, wow, I turned to Anne to say something. And Anne's like, woo, she's got tears coming down her eyes. And like, I just thought, you know what? You're celebrating the history of the movies in this bit, and you're celebrating one of the most successful movies of the year in this bit. And while I was a little bit dubious about the choice, I ended up loving that opening. I thought the opening was not the greatest of all time, but it was a wonderful opening. I really dug it a lot. Boy, those two can sing. And I was telling Rob before the show started, for those of you who've watched me for well over a decade, one of my biggest gripes with the Oscars has always been how they present Best Song. It's stupid the way they've done it historically. It's like the actress in a movie is far more important than a 2-minute song in a movie. But a 2-minute song, an actress gets 30 seconds to give an acceptance speech, and the song gets a full 2.5 minutes so they can come out and perform the whole song for each nominated song. It's ridiculous. Last night, I feel like they cracked the code. They got it right. They just announced the nominees with a short little 20-second something talking about the song and what the song means each time through. And I'm watching this and I'm like, I've never had a good solution for how to do the Best Song Oscar, but they did. And I thought they absolutely nailed it with that. And just a number of other things. I thought one of my favorite jokes of the night. Netflix tonight leads all nominees with 18 price increases. I thought that was great. I love that. The little joke or two about the producers losing their houses. I thought that was well timed. It was just a good night overall. And if you want to run down the scorecard, it was a very balanced out evening. Yeah. There was no, I mean, Anora was the clear winner of the night, but there was really no runaway thing like Lord of the Rings winning 11 Oscars. Here's the scorecard. Anora, of course, was the winner of the evening. It took home 5. But then there's a big group. Brutalist won 3. Dune Part 2 won 2, as did Emilia Perez and Wicked. And then right down the list, Conclave won 1, Flow, I'm Still Here, No Other Land, A Real Pain, and The Subs. It's talking about the major films. A very kind of even thing right down the board. Let's just go over and take a quick look at who the winners were. So obviously, Best Picture, I did predict this. Anora won Best Picture. It kind of wasn't in doubt. By the time you got to the category, when they're winning all the other major awards other than Best Lead Actor, it kind of became clear they were going to win. And so Nora won that. Sean Baker ties the all-time Oscar record for winning 4 Oscars for one film. Of course, he won director, writer, editor, and as a producer for Best Picture. So Sean Baker wins Best Director. Leading role, the one thing I got wrong about the Oscars was Adrian Brody winning. And I said, because when we did our predictions on Friday, I said, guys, this morning I woke up and said, I'm going to name Adrian Brody as my pick. And at the last second, I switched to Ralph Fiennes. And I felt, even when they were about to read the name, I really thought they were going to say Ralph Fiennes. But Adrian Brody wins the Oscar, his second Best Lead Actor win. And then he set he did, no joking aside, he set the all-time record for the longest acceptance speech. I'm a big Adrian Brody fan, but I was very disappointed in that because he's basically saying I'm more important than everybody else. So while everybody else has to stick to the rules, I don't. I was disappointed in that, but whatever. He was up there on stage and very emotional. Then we go actress in a leading role. I got it right again on this one. Mikey Madison wins. And listen, I would have had no problem if Demi Moore won. Her performance was outstanding.
Yeah. I was hoping she was going to get it, but I was like, but if Mikey gets it, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought by a hair she deserved it a little bit more. That Mikey Madison deserved it a little bit more. And so she won, of course. And I was telling the guys beforehand, Anora, of course, is the name of my wife. Aura is her maiden name. So her name is Anora. So she was cheering for Anora all night. And so she was very happy when Mikey won. Best Supporting Actor. This was one of the two locks of the evening. Kieran Culkin, of course, wins Best Supporting Actor. We all knew that was going to happen. He also had the best acceptance speech of the night, telling the story about his wife.
That's funny.
That was funny. Best Supporting Actress was also the other lock
Right.
that we knew. So Zoe Saldana won, also a very nice acceptance speech. Best Writing Adapted Screenplay. Sean Baker won for Anora, which we called, and Conclave won for Best Adapted, which we also called. So that was great to see. One of the ones that Sean Baker won. Best Animated Feature. This is the other one I'd missed. I knew Flow was a strong contender, and it's great. I really thought Wild Robot was going to win. I would have put $5 on it, but it did not. Flow won, and good for them. Ball is in your court, Estonia. And then won't go through all the other ones. But Best Visual Effects went to Dune.
Yeah.
I was excited to see that. Sound was the one that I knew Dune was going to win.
Yes,
Like all
me
night,
too.
I just knew
Absolutely.
sound. Dune was going to win.
Well, she's good at barking.
Of course, my dog's name is Dune.
And you know, by the way, I should point out that it was the first Oscar win for Doctor Doom's country, Latveria.
Oh, yeah.
So close.
So
One of
close.
those.
I'm surprised he didn't come out and accept it himself.
It's true.
And by the way, Robert Downey Jr., like talking about Kieran Culkin, you're the only flaw with the thing is you trying to be as charming as me.
Right.
Saying
I
to
like
Kieran,
that.
I thought that was
Great.
very, very clever. And having Kieran Culkin accept the award and basically turn Robert Downey Jr. like, you're my hero. So like, getting this from you is insane.
I thought it was cool that he acknowledged his Succession co-star.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that was really nice.
I loved
Yeah.
that.
You know what's funny about what's Strong's first name again?
Jeremy.
Is Jeremy? I don't know why,
He
but
looks sad all night.
I started watching some clips of The Gentleman again because Jeremy Strong, of course, is in that.
He's so good.
He's so good in that movie.
so good when they put it.
When they put him in the freezer in that whole scene.
I don't want to ruin that scene.
Guys,
So-
too many of you have not watched Matthew McConaughey's The Gentleman.
He's
Guy Ritchie.
so good.
It's so good. It's anyway. So they did. I thought that was really clever and cute. And yeah, man, overall, I gotta say, I was really happy with the awards last night.
great.
A couple of big surprises. I thought the show ran, despite the fact that it again went long. I thought it ran very smoothly. So yeah, I liked it. Chris, to you, what were some of the big standout moments? Was there any of the particular awards that really stood out to you? What was your take on the Oscars last night?
The halftime joke, chef's kiss.
Oh my God. Did you catch that one?
That joke.
We're now halfway through, which means Kendrick Lamar is about to come out and accuse Drake of being a pedophile.
It
That
was-
was so ballsy.
I liked his little bit too. Like if you're still enjoying this show, you probably have Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. I thought Conan just did such a fun job. I thought he was so wonderful. I'm trying to think of some of the standout moments. Oh my gosh, that win for the Wicked costume designer
Oh yes.
was such
Yeah.
a wonderful
Taswell.
speech.
Yep.
Yes.
By
Has
the
he
way-
done designing Hollywood?
Yeah, he's been on Designing Hollywood.
Several
twice.
of the nominees have been on
All
Designing
of them.
Hollywood.
I mean, it was, and recently, like
Yeah.
Nosferatu. I mean, it was. I
Yeah.
loved it. It was fantastic.
Man,
I kept
that was
making
great.
comments about that, going, and this person was on Designing
Yeah.
Hollywood.
I loved that he won. It was crazy that he's the first Black man to win that award too. So that was such a wonderful moment, and that was such a wonderful speech. Kieran Culkin's speech was so fun and funny. Man,
His
it was
wife
just,
was when the cameras would go to
she
her
was
face.
so great.
You could
Just-
tell she did
ooh.
not know what his
Yeah.
acceptance speech was going to be. Every time, like I thought that was so
It
precious.
was
was
really,
great.
really
I
lovely.
like when he said like, "So thanks for not believing in me."
Yeah, love of my life.
He had little faith.
Yeah, it was so wonderful. I loved all of that stuff. I thought Adrian Brody, I feel like the tail end of his speech was really lovely. It just, we were talking about this before the show started. It was unfortunate that he couldn't like get those thoughts in order because it is
He had a lot of
really-
pauses.
Yeah, and it is a very important thing I think to say at the end there. of, this is the second time I've played somebody who's survived the Holocaust. And yet we are still dealing with anti-Semitism. Like, I feel like this is something that should be addressed and makes sense in that kind of format too. Loved Andrew Garfield and Goldie Hawn. I thought they were just so sweet.
Okay.
I thought they were so charming.
Okay, so my wife Anne and one of her besties, Jay Lynn, they quiver at the name Andrew Garfield.
Wow.
So like when they showed right before the commercial break, up next, Andrew Garfield and Goldie Hawn, Anne is like, stop it, like audibly out loud, stop it. And then he comes out and she sees, oh, he's got the glass. Don't put on the glasses.
He's gonna put the
Don't-
glasses
Oh
on.
my God. And she put and her and Jay Lynn are just like, he put on the glasses.
Oh yeah, the internet's dubbed them his quote sexy or slutty little glasses. So
Yeah,
I get it.
they were
I
kind of
understand
losing their
it.
crap for Andrew Garfield.
Oh, also, Adrian Brody throwing his gum to his partner, I thought was just so funny and weird.
Harvey Weinstein's ex-wife.
What?
Yeah, that's what I said too. I'm like,
That's
wait,
who he's dating.
that's
I
who
went
he's dating.
full Scooby-Doo, Rob. Hold on. Whoa.
Yes. Look, and you realize
I hope her
she
name
is
is Jane.
smoking. She's always been smoking hot. And of course, why would he do that to her? Like, it shows guys are just dumb.
Well, again, we were talking about
I mean,
that.
I don't
like
mean Adrian Brody. I mean,
Oh, no,
mean-
I know
he
what you mean,
means-
too.
the tossing the gum thing. I remember, like, some people gave him a hard time about it. Like, you know what? I do not give him a pass for how long he spoke, but I'll give him a pass for the gum thing because, like you literally, you're just caught in the moment, and you're like, oh, and then he's like, I just realized I had gum in my mouth going up to accept an Oscar, and he said I just didn't think, so I just but first I just tossed it out and then gave it
That
to his
killed me.
date. I thought that was funny.
she's a fashion designer.
Oh, wow.
Good for
I'll
her.
have to go check out her stuff.
Rob, what about you? What were some of the highlight moments? Were there any of the particular awards that were highlights?
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have seeing Lisa from Blackpink singing James Bond theme songs
Oh,
on my
as soon as that came
2075
up-
bingo
I'm
card.
so excited
As soon as that
for
came
you.
up, Anne went, well, Rob is happy
Oh,
somewhere right
yeah.
now.
I mean, she's been all over the place. She did Hot Ones last week. I mean, my love of her. She's the rapper, the Thai girl in the band, and she. By the way, she's very articulate and funny. She's so cute. I didn't get a sense of her personality until the last 6 months. But not only that, I have to say, as a Bond fan, Doja Cat just killed doing Shirley Bassey's Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah.
She was awesome. What are you making a face at that?
I didn't like it.
Come on.
Oh, really?
I didn't
don't
like it
like
either.
it.
It felt like it was like flat, or her ear, like her monitor was out or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I disagree.
There was
I
something
really
going
liked
on where it just was coming up flat.
Look,
But by the way, that brings up a bigger issue, though, about the fact that I should have mentioned earlier. With the Broccoli's now selling off they didn't sell it up, but they gave up creative control of Bond. Considering what an institution Bond is in Hollywood, I thought it was really nice that they did that tribute to Bond and to the Broccoli's
And
for
then
their stewardship. of it.
Halle Berry they showed her coming out of the
Yeah.
water, die another day. And I will say this. I mean, it did kind of feel like an in memoriam segment, but I would have liked to have seen. This is just me. There's 4 surviving Bonds.
Yeah.
There's Lazenby. There's Pierce Brosnan. There's why am I drawing a blank on his
Daniel
name?
Craig.
Daniel Craig, but no, licensed
Timothy
living daylight,
Dalton.
Timothy Dalton. I'm thinking Hot Fuzz, Timothy Dalton. They could have brought them out too.
That would have
Yeah,
been great.
Yeah.
But it was still. I liked the fact that I know they had to appeal to the younger audience, but it still was
Also,
pretty
could have been a
cool.
matter of maybe 1 or 2 weren't available.
Yeah,
Or, you know, so
and, I
that-
mean, Lazenby's pretty old now.
yes, I was
but-
going to say.
But it's still, it was cool. I mean, again, I didn't expect that. That was for me. It was just as a Bond lover. I thought, okay, cool.
What did you think of? Okay, so let's go down the thing here. Obviously, again, couple of wins for Dune, couple of wins for Wicked. Some of the best films of the year did get some recognition. But Anora is the winner of the night. It wins Best Director,
Oh,
Best
yeah.
Screenplay, Best Editing, and ultimately a Best Lead Actress and Best Picture. How are we feeling about Anora taking home the top prize this year?
So well deserved.
Not,
agree,
not as good as the director's feeling with 4 Oscars on his mantle.
Four, the dude wins 4 for one movie.
You know, the thing about Sean Baker is he's truly an indie filmmaker.
Yes, he is.
And I mean, his film Tangerine, which he shot on iPhones, and then the Florida Project, and coming to Anora. I mean, the fact I love that somebody won who directs and edits. I love.
By the way, what do you think about his when he won Best Editor? I think there were some people who didn't understand he also directed the film.
Yeah.
Because he wins Best Editor and he goes up and goes, "Man, I'm so glad for this recognition because I saved this movie."
Yeah.
I
It was
laughed
so
my ass
funny.
off.
That was hilarious. But he really embodies the thing about Anora is Anora is what a studio movie might have made in 1982. You know, it would have been a comedy, and studios just would never make that movie today.
Yeah.
And that movie is a crowd pleaser. It is an indie movie that, it deals with sex work, but it is a fun time at the movies. And that's why I think it worked, because of just how entertaining it was. Look, I loved Moonlight. I thought Moonlight was a great movie. Also very independent, but it's not like it was the feel-good movie of the summer.
Well,
you know, and this was an indie film that could have been a crowd-pleasing studio movie too. And I think that's why it worked.
$6 million film. Made the movie for $6 million. And it's Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And not a studio movie.
Yeah, and not a studio movie. And you know what? It reminded me a lot of like when the Daniels were kind of like cleaning up for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
Right.
And it's going to be interesting now to see the doors open, because this is really, this was his film. I mean, he wrote it. He
And
directed
Neon.
it. He edited it. Like
Neon, the distributors.
Yeah.
I mean, between Neon and A24, which they did Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, these are two powerhouse companies that are winning the Palme d'Or, winning Academy Awards, winning Best Picture.
Well, and it feels like, too, we were talking about this with the group we were watching it last night, too, is with Anora, with Everything Everywhere All at Once, it feels like these were just films that it was, I really want to make this.
Yes.
I just really want to do this. And a lot of times during award season, it does feel like that 30 Rock joke of hard to watch season, where it's a whole bunch of movies where you go, this was made to try to win awards. And which feels like the death of art when it's, I'm trying to do this for critical acclaim. I'm trying to do this for mass appeal. I'm trying to do this for this, that, or the other. When you just make something, especially with your own dollar, that's why I'm always going to respect, you know, what filmmakers have done. Might not always like their movies when they're indie movies, but I'm always going to respect people who put their own money in, like Coppola, right? It's really cool to see stuff like this, though, just really just take off and be loved and get those kinds of awards and achievements, because it's just somebody who really blasted off with what they wanted to do, not for anyone else.
Such a good movie, too. Just like, because not only was like Anora in many ways very fun, but it was an incredibly deep character study.
Yes.
And like on human condition and stuff like that. By the way, you're mentioning like good for Nia. So I ran down the scorecard again, just to remind everybody here what the scorecard was for the film. So like Anora takes 5, Brutalist 3, Dune, Emilio Perez and Wicked each take 2. Well, by distributor, Sony Pictures Classic, Sideshow, and Searchlight and Focus Features each won 1. Warner Brothers, Netflix, and Universal Pictures each won 2 Oscars last night. The top 2, A24 won 3, and Neon won 5.
There you go.
Neon and A24 were the top distributors for collecting Oscars last night, which I thought was really fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows. Look, there are people I know people that are just fans of A24. They have A24 swag. I mean, A24 is a purveyor of a certain kind of thing, which, by the way, I like. And I especially like how they do support physical media with incredible releases. So you go, A24. By the way, I'm a member. Just want to say that I'm a
card carrying member.
Right there. There's my A24.
Whoa.
It's a little dirty, but I am.
Oh, there you go.
All right, guys, question is for you. What did you think about the Oscars last night? I thought it was a really solid show. I enjoyed it a great deal. How did you feel about it? Were there any of the categories that you were particularly angry at that you didn't think the right person won? Was there a favorite moment of the show for you guys? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Just as we were going into the weekend, the internet erupted as supposed leaked concept art for the upcoming Avengers Doomsday and possibly for Avengers Secret Wars leaked online. As an artist associated with Marvel put it out, it needs to be said, no one ever said these were official things and all that kind of stuff. And I do want to warn people that, again, we remember just not long ago, there was leaked concept art of like Doctor Strange and Iron Man armor and several other things that was never part of the movie. So there is some discussion going on. I talked to 2 different people. One said definitively that That stuff is not actually, the images that came out are not actually associated with the movie. But I also talked to somebody else who almost as vehemently said, pretty sure these are actually accurate. So, whatever, you take it for what you will. I got different people telling me different things. But what are we talking about? We're talking about these images that came out that are purportedly meant to be what people assume to be concept art for Secret Wars or for Doomsday. To me, when I look at the art, and just for the sake of the discussion, we were already acknowledging there is a chance that maybe these are not legitimate, but for the sake of this discussion, let's assume they are for the moment. Okay? Just for the discussion. I looked at these and I never once thought these look like they're coming out of Doomsday. I look at them and feel these look like they're for Secret Wars.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they are shooting Secret Wars and Doomsday back to back, which is what more films should do that are part of franchises, by the way. But for funsies, let's go through and take a look at some of these images, shall we? Okay, the first one, of course, we've got it on the thumbnail, is what their look is going to be for Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom. Everybody's going to have a different opinion on this. For me, it is one word. It's one word at any rate if you're Kite Man, because it's hell yeah.
Yeah. That's 2 words.
That's what I say if you're Kite Man is one word.
Oh.
Hell yeah. That design is awesome. That design is incredible, and it absolutely captures the spirit of God Emperor Dune. That looks insanely good. I love it. Let's go on to the next one here. Next one up, the Court of Doom, where it looks like you got Doctor Strange standing there in the foreground. Some people think that might be Yelena as one of his royal guard in there. I'm not quite sure who that's supposed to be chained up, kneeling in front of him.
It looks vaguely like Nathan Fillion.
I mean, maybe it's
Reed Richards.
Maybe it's Reed. Maybe it's Nathan Fillion. Who knows? All that kind of stuff. Let's go to the next one for a second.
All right. There you go.
Now, this one is the one that caught a lot of people's attention. This is an odd couple.
Yeah.
We got Star-Lord and White Vision, which, I mean, maybe this is for an Avengers movie. Maybe it's for the Vision Quest show. I mean, I don't know, but either way, you got Vision and Star-Lord sitting there on a couch. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one's really interesting. This one elicits thoughts of World War Hulk, obviously stuff like there, but you got Bruce, you got Jen, and you've got Hulk Boy.
There's a lot of Hulks in there, though. Those other people are
Yep,
Hulks.
there's other ones in the background and stuff like there's several of them. So this is clear some kind of medieval, multi-dimensional kind of whatever. We'll talk about these more in depth in a bit.
Hulk's
Let's
been
just
getting
keep going
around.
through them. What was the next one up? Now this one, of course, you've got Ms. Marvel. You've got
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord,
Wong.
Wong. You got Kate Bishop.
Wiccan.
You got Wiccan. You got Speed. Who's the last one in there? Oh, Ant-Man's daughter,
Cassie.
Cassie. So it looks kind of like it might be setting up, if not doing a Young Avengers movie, there might be a Young Avengers subplot line within the movies themselves. Maybe. My question, Matt Tween in live chat is saying the same question I'm thinking. Where is Madeline? Anyway, was that the last one? Oh no, there's still a couple more.
Yeah.
Then a Black Panther.
Love this.
Love that. Now, some people are saying this particularly looks like a particular actor. I can't remember. Who were they saying this looks like?
Damson Idris, probably.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
That's who it was. So, again, does that mean they actually cast him, or does that mean, okay, for the concept, I'm just going to think of this actor and do that?
And
We've
there's-
seen that happen with concept art before.
There's one in full body suit there.
Yeah, one in a full body suit, which looks great. And then there's
this.
Now, is this supposed to be Molecule Man?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because we know in Secret Wars, right? They got did they call it the White Room? I can't remember if they called it the White Room or not. But, you know, they got him in there, chained up till Spider-Man gives him a hamburger. Anyway.
This is Hickman's Secret Wars.
So, I mean, there's that. Anyway, a lot of very, very interesting looking stuff. So, Rob, I got to go to you on first. I mean, let's take Rob through these. So bring up that first one again. This is the thing of Doom. Your thoughts on this
look,
here.
all of these are amazing. You know, and I saw these and I'm like, if this was where the Marvel Universe had been taking me since Phase 4, and I would be totally interested. My problem with all of this is, where's these movies been for the last 4 years?
They've been building up to them.
But they haven't, though. I mean, nothing they've done is let this in particular. I mean, all this stuff is so cool. Like, my interest in the Avengers movies, but look, we know that Marvel has a visual design department that spends years before they get to making this stuff. Whether these are real or not. You know, it's funny, Hickman's Secret Wars Omnibus just came out, and I'm waiting to receive mine, the Omnibus. I ordered it from Cheap Graphic Novels, who I love. I can't wait to delve back into it again. But this stuff is so awesome and so new and unique and different from what we've seen. Like, I don't know if these are legit. I have no idea. But if the Russo brothers are going to come and they're going to give us this or something along these lines, count me in. This is the kind of thing, this makes the Avengers not more the same, but more interesting. It's like, you love Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Remember when that happened? You're reading the X-Men comics and then boom, you're in the middle of Age of Apocalypse, which I too loved. I'm like, that whole world was so interesting. You're seeing all the counterparts and how it unfolded and why is this village full of Hulks here? And I mean, immediately you're interested. And it's like, man, I can't wait. I don't care if it's even remotely close to this. Make this happen. I want this. Give me this movie, John.
All right, well, let's go image for image here. So
All right, so we started there, then here.
yeah, so what are you seeing in this particular?
I think that it's Reed Richards on his knees, subjugated before Doom, where he, maybe it's not. But
I love that, though, because then we can have Sue and Franklin over there.
That's right.
Right.
It's a little adopt-a-family moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Sue Doom.
And I love the fact that look, if you're gonna have Robert Downey Jr. be Doom, he's gonna be close to winning. He's gonna be the master of his domain. God Emperor Doom he's got to be the most fearsome villain. He's got to out Thanos, and this is it right there. And I can't wait.
Let's bring up the next one. So, Chris, let me go over to you first on this one. Okay, because when we brought up this picture first, your face made an expression.
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking about when you see this particular
This is
image?
the one that felt the most fan art to me, where I went,
Right.
For why is this one? What is this happening? Huh? No. And maybe we have some kind of little buddy moment in which Peter Quill helps rehabilitate White Vision and teaches him about how to function as his own entity. Mayhaps. But this is the one that I went, oh, somebody had a really fun time designing this for their own short story.
What about you, Rob? What do you think?
I mean, to me, I'm just intrigued. Like, they did a good job in both Infinity War and Endgame pairing up disparate people, like Rocket Raccoon and Thor.
Right.
And there was
Which ended up being one of the best pairings in Marvel.
Absolutely. And, I'm really, Terry Matalas, who made Star Trek Picard Season 3, is in London right now doing the White Vision show, doing Vision Quest, whatever they're going to call it. I mean, I can't wait. I mean, that looks, whatever it is going to be amusing.
Yeah, I still, the big question for me regarding Peter Quill going for not just into the Avengers movies, but going further in the MCU is, are they going to say, is he at some point, some way, somehow going to unlock the celestial power he has? Because, they kind of tuck that away. Are they going to say, because otherwise he's just a kind of a cool guy and
Right.
Yeah.
With a cool gun.
He's half celestial.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. All right, let's go on to the next picture. What's
All
the
right.
next? What's the next we got to look at? Okay, Hulk Village.
I don't want to piss any of them off.
This looks to me like one of the lands at Universal Studios Park. They got Nintendo World, they got the Star Wars universe in there. Rob, you're taking a look at this. What's standing out to you?
I don't want to see anybody try and destroy that idyllic Hulk village, because they'll be hell to pay. That is a formidable. I don't even think Wakanda could stand up to that village.
We're clearly thinking this is a multiverse kind of sort of thing.
Oh yeah, if this is what Battle World is,
Yeah.
I can't. If this is Battle World from Secret Wars, which is what it seems to
That's
be,
what I think so,
I'm
too.
like, bring it on. I can't wait.
Chris, what's standing out to you in this image?
The same kind of thing here as Rob. I think this is Battle World, and I think we're going to have this very fun, like Skyrim, World of Warcraft kind of like medieval vibe to it, to
Yes.
differentiate it from all the high tech or normie kind of stuff we usually have, just to give it a different flavor. I love this one. I think this one is really, really fun. And yes, Jen, in a serious moment, yes, give Jen a good thing to do.
Still want to see her twerk again, though. All right, let's
mean-
move on to the next picture here. All right, this is, I mean, the one that I kind of caught me most by surprise was the Star-Lord one. Speaking of Star-Lord, he's in this one too, and a little bit of our own, you know, Star Wars cantina scene sort of idea with the kids around there. Chris, you're looking at, what are you taking away from this image?
Well, I got to give credit to Mr. I in the chat because I totally didn't notice Dupe in the corner here.
Oh, yeah, that was brought up.
Great.
Yeah.
That's so fun. I was just so...
I mean, this could be Dupe's homeworld, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I was just so invested in seeing, you know, Ms. Marvel there just taking in everything that Wong was saying. I love that he's assembling some folks. I love that this is a little young Avengers moment because kind of like what we talked about with the West Coast Avengers or doing those kinds of things. I don't know if we're going to have the name Young Avengers, the name West Coast Avengers in there. I feel like it might be more like what they did in Young Justice of just B-Team or like Beta Group or whatever. And that maybe is these young folks.
And this looks like a speakeasy.
Yeah.
You know, like they're having a secret meeting, like you have to know where to get into this club, and you know, Wong called this team or whatever, like, okay, here's what we're gonna do.
It kind of looks like a mix between the bar we'd seen in Nowhere and then also like a Star Wars cantina.
I was going to say, it looks to me like Nowhere.
Yeah.
When I look at that, it kind of like, which I don't know how Peter got there or went there, or I guess, is this a representation of Wong indeed becoming the connective tissue of the MCU, starting to pull different pieces together? I thought that was really interesting.
It would be cool if Nowhere is orbiting Battle World.
Ooh.
Like it's Moon.
Ooh.
I mean, that's what I'd do.
All right,
That's fun.
let's go on to the next. Okay, now this is the one that has a lot of people talking. Of course, we talked about a few weeks ago the notion that Marvel is indeed looking to bring in a new Black Panther, a new T'Challa. Some people think this is just an aged up version of T'Challa's son T'Challa. I don't think it's meant to be T'Challa Jr. I think, again, I'm not basing this on anything. This is just me as a fan saying, I think this is T'Challa proper. I think this is T'Challa thing. So it looks like or not. I mean, I don't know. Rob, you see this. What's the first thoughts?
I think it is T'Challa, because if it is indeed Battle World, that's the Wakanda that's on Battle World or whatever it's supposed to be. And you can make it whatever you want. But this to me looks like, I mean, they need to bring back Black Panther back. And I have no problem in this storyline. If you know that the Hickman's Secret Wars, it makes sense. So that's, I mean, I just want to see that in a movie. Like, give me that shot.
That's
Yeah.
a majestic
I want to see
outfit, man.
I want to see T'Challa walk into frame like that with that background. I mean, come on. That's so dope. I love it.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think of this image?
Oh, I'm totally on the same page as Rob. I love this. And if it is for some reason like T'Challa Jr., it's going to be, you know, more multiverse. We didn't quickly age him. I know I keep making the same joke, but we didn't age him like Lion-O in Thundercats because that's weird. It'd be a fully grown up version of that same character for someone else. But I do think Marvel at least should make this a true T'Challa.
Somebody did mention in the live chat that in the background there, it does look like a Thundercats lair.
It very much
bit,
Yeah,
does.
it does.
If they put Mumra in this movie, I'm in.
But another thing, I mean, they can go as full on fantasy as they want on Battle World, because this is the end of the multiverse. So they can do whatever they want, and going as far. I mean, I love the fact that they're going to push this far, because when reality snaps back and everybody, it's going to be an amalgamation of all of these different realities that come back to our reality. I would imagine the normal 616 MCU. So once they make us love all this stuff, and if we love that iteration of Black Panther and he shows back up on the 616 world post Secret Wars, people are going to love him.
Yeah.
You know, and I think doing it like this is, and again, we're assuming that this is even real. But
Well, that's for the sake of the discussion, right?
yeah,
For
I
the sake
think
of the
I think
discussion.
that if I was Marvel and I dropped these, I sprinkled these, oh, it was a leak. I mean, we're doing exactly what they wanted us to do, and we're giving them exactly the feedback they want.
All
And
right,
I'm
we've still
all
got more
for
pictures
it.
we got to get to here. So
Rob.
let's go on to the next one here. Okay, so one of the pivotal characters, obviously, the thing that makes everything possible for Doom is it's Molecule Man, right? In the room, stuff like that. Now, there have been several theories that, I mean, it's going to be interesting to use him as a MacGuffin because we haven't really met this person at all. So there are a couple theories. One theory is that that's Sentry. Because remember, Sentry, the way Marvel Comics is treated Sentry, there's really no definitive list about where his powers end. He basically has every power whenever they need him to. There's another theory that they may replace Molecule with the god of stories, Loki. That Loki, since he's the one kind of pulling on all the strings now, that somehow, some way, God Emperor Doom captures Loki, and Loki is going to be the one in that room. So I don't know. So there's or maybe this has nothing to do with any of that. Maybe this is a long-haired, ragged Reed Richards still in chains somewhere. I don't know. Chris, you see this image. What's the first thing that provokes itself into your mind when you see it?
This is so basic. At first, I was like, is it Bucky because of the hair?
That would be an interesting
Did
one.
he get his arms? I mean, this literally could be anyone, though.
Yeah.
That's how this is. It's
What,
a black
is
and
that
white image.
Steam or what is that?
Exactly.
It's
It's
like somebody's
what is
burning?
coming off of him. He could be Sentry. It could be a version of Loki. And Loki for sure could fill in the place of Molecule Man in this universe as well. If we're kind of taking some things from the comics and then
Which would
shoehorning
make
in.
sense.
It would for where that season ended. But yeah, this is a very rough sketch that I went, oh, that could be literally any male identifying character within the MCU.
Rob, what about you?
I kind of feel the same way. I think this could be anybody. I mean, if it is God, I mean, where is God Loki? He's not in here. But I really don't know. I mean, Molecule Man's a good theory, but because he hasn't been introduced yet. I mean, Avengers Doomsday is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting if they're going to take us here.
Right.
And so
yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see. You're going to have to introduce Robert Downey Jr. becoming Dr. Doom is not something people are just going to accept. You have to convince us. You have to make us believe. Because if you're going to take us, and I think the Russo brothers, and I don't know if both Marcus and McFeely are writing this or just one of them.
One of them.
But
Yeah.
I think that we're going. They know what they have to do. So I'm excited. I don't know who that is, but I mean, I think it would be like God Loki makes sense because at the end of Loki season 2. He's positioned to be you, and it's something the audience would get it.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I get this. And Doom capturing Loki and forcing
At least the percentage of the audience that actually watched the Disney Plus shows,
Sure.
right? That's a problem they're facing.
And there's also the possibility that that is not the White Room, and that is just a regular
Another
torture chamber.
another
and,
chamber.
and
Yep.
that could be Human Torch, or that could be, a multitude of other people.
All right, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about the images? Now, the validity of them, not the validity of them, misdirect of them. Okay, all that aside, let's just for the sake of the conversation, which we as movie fans love to do, let's say they're real and they're authentic. What do you think about them? What's standing out to you the most about it? Which of the images is your favorite? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us now to get on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends over at Hungryroot. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Hungryroot. Grocery shopping used to be one of the biggest struggles. Between your busy schedule and wanting to eat healthier, it just feels impossible to stay on top of everything. But all that changes when you discover Hungryroot, the easiest way to eat healthy without the hassles. Hungryroot is like having your own personal grocery shopper. They take care of the weekly shopping for you, recommending healthy, high-quality groceries tailored to your tastes, nutritional preferences, and even health goals. They've got it all: smoothies, snacks for the kids, ready-to-eat meals, and even supplements. For me, Hungryroot is absolutely a game changer, guys. My health goals have become so much easier to stick to. I love how they personalize my cart every week and even get smart about my preferences as I go. It's honestly stress-free and so simple. You're gonna love Hungryroot as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Campea and use the code Campea. That's hungryroot.com/Campea using the code Campea to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the big meat. You guys want to have some topics discussed. You've sent them in. Let's get to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
All right. Zach sends the big meat here. Says one of two. As you said many times, we shouldn't believe any reports about test screenings going well or not. You've also said that when Jeff Snyder says he's heard insider information, you believe he did hear it, right or wrong. With that said, when Jeff Snyder says his best source says they keep hearing Superman is terrible, as he did on the Hot Mic show with Roca, should we believe him?
I think you should believe that that's what he heard.
Yeah.
I will come out and say the exact opposite. I've heard it's tremendously good. I won't say who I heard that from, but I heard it
Zack
from
Snyder.
Yeah, Zack. And but I'm not a scooper, right? Like, so take that for what you will. I've heard it's actually very good. So yeah, but I would disregard what I just said. And I would also disregard anything else about test screenings that I'm hearing from this person, that person, because you never know who that person is hearing it from,
right, or
whatever and what have you. Right. So look, at the end of the day, when it comes to test screening rumors, people are going to hear what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. Right. If you want this movie to be great, you're going to hear the ones that say that it's great. If you want this movie to suck, you're going to be the one to hear it suck. Ultimately, we want to know, this movie could be the best movie ever. It could be the worst movie ever. You're just going to have to wait to see when the movie comes out. All right, what's next?
Scott Brown says, watch Conclave. It was brilliant. I'm not religious at all, and I found it absolutely captivating. Ray Fiennes is incredible. The score is amazing, too. The director, I believe, is going to be something special between this and All Quiet on the Western Front.
I can't believe how good that movie Conclave is. So much better than it deserves to be. Like when you just listen to the synopsis, right? Cardinals gather to select the next pope. Okay.
Boring.
Wow, was it great? The dynamic too between Stanley Tucci, Jonathan Lithgow, and Ray Fiennes, insane.
This is why I thought it was going to win screenplay.
Yeah, that's why we picked screenplay. Yeah. It just, particularly the dynamic between Stanley Tucci and Ray Fiennes, because they have like 4 significant scenes together, all which brought the house down. It's a magnificent movie. If you haven't seen it, check out Conclave. All right, what's next?
Dookie Shoes. Howdy, y'all. John, are you still considering getting the Pixel 9 Pro Fold? I have it, and this phone is amazing. I totally recommend it.
I really am. Like, if you look around, like my office, I've got like right here, I have one of my iPads. I have my iPhone 4, or my iPhone 4. My iPhone, I'm still using the 13. I haven't upgraded in a bit. My 13, I'm sitting in front of my computer, which is a Mac Studio. So I got a lot of Mac stuff. Google phones are so much better. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of Google phones. Some are better than others. Some are much worse than others. But the Android operating system is such a superior platform. It's so superior in every way. Now, I really like the way my phone is able to interact with my iPad and my Mac. So that's kind of the reason why I've stuck with it for now. But I haven't upgraded it because I can't buy another iPhone when I'm really thinking. And that Fold 9, by the way, Oppo just came out with something.
I know.
That new Oppo one.
I've been looking at it. I've never heard of Oppo, and then it's gotten such great reviews. I just don't know if like the software is what I like compared to like Samsung. You know what I mean? Is
right,
it
but
be
they've
stable?
polished it a lot. They've polished it a lot. So yes, I haven't made a decision yet, but I'm definitely thinking about switching over to the Google Fold.
Have you seen that trifold one?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's so thin that the USB-C port barely fits into it. Like,
it's like the Aston Martin of phones.
I think I got to get a Fold before I try crashing up to like a trifold thing.
And that thing's expensive, but yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Raymond says, while watching my YouTube shorts, I found out that Anora is Mikey Madison's second Best Picture Oscar-nominated film that she's acted in. She came out as Sadie in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
yep.
Where she was taken out by Brad Pitt with a can of corn.
Yeah. Well, remember, even Sean Baker turned to Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino, who, of course, presented Best Director, says, he turned to Tarantino, if you hadn't cast her in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we never would have had Anora.
Yeah.
And it's so funny the way cause and effect and how, or as Vision would say, causality works, right? So yeah, I was thrilled for her. Seriously, her performance in Anora, I'm not going to say is a top 5 greatest performance of all time, but she deserved to win. I mean, listen, if Demi Moore had won, I would have zero issues with it because Demi Moore in this movie is astonishing.
Yeah.
And if she had won, no problem. But I really do think personally that the right winner got announced last night. I think Mikey Madison deserved it just a fraction of a percent more. And I cannot wait to see what her future holds in the business. All right, what's next?
Left Coast Knucklehead says Vancouver Island lifer that loves seeing normal sights in my life made anew on film. Personal favorite was when the BSG miniseries used the lower deck of a BC British Columbia ferry as starship hangar.
Oh, wow.
Any favorite mundane locales were used on screen? I have one, and it's along the same idea. I mean, the Starship Enterprise in like the Kelvin universe, the engine room is the Budweiser brewery in LA in the valley. So those huge tanks are all beer. You know.
Well, obviously a big one for me is in the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, the one with he was just nominated last night. Ed Norton Jr. Of course, my co-star in that film. And it's not just because I'm in it, but they shot a lot of that film in my hometown of Hamilton and right up the road in Toronto. And it's so funny because like where they shot, you guys remember near the end of the movie when Abomination and Hulk have that big fight in the streets, right? I could literally look down from my apartment onto that street. It was literally Main Street in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, where that fight happened. They put up a whole bunch of different signs on the businesses to make it look like somewhere else.
Sure.
So that's a favorite of mine. The great classic Bob and Doug McKenzie movie, Strange Brew. A lot of that shot in Hamilton. So seeing that, I would love, Ann and I love Parks and Rec. Love, love, love Parks and Rec. That's all shot in Burbank and Pasadena. Pawnee City Hall is actually Pasadena City Hall. And then like JJ's Diner, that is this little pie and coffee shop that was literally right up the road from our street, up the road from our place. So yeah, it's always a big kick when you get to see places you're so familiar with on the screen. It's always fun.
Sure.
All right, what's next?
Arun with a two-parter. I still remember coming across your blog in 2009. And you had Up as 1 and Up in the Air as number 2 movie, and the top 10 list concluded with District 9. Following you since then, Movie Blog, AMC, Collider, and now here in your channel, 16 years.
Wow.
Since then, I did my post-grad, fell in love, got married, and now have a 6-year-old, and moved to London for work. I've just been here. Have you made me understand? You have made me understand that movies are subjective and how you can celebrate others' opinions as well. Big thank you to you. Bring on Filthy.
I still remember doing that
that
thing.
list.
I still remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, first, it's always amazing to me how many people like yourself have not only been following since the AMC days, but like prior to that, like the movie blog days. Like that's my origin story. The movie blog is my origin story. And like how many people, it is crazy. Every once in a while, as I'm reading through the comments and stuff like that, seeing usernames that I distinctly remember when I would read the comments on posts on the movie blog, like who have been around in this, it's like there are people who've been a part of this community for 15, 16 years. It's amazing me. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for coming along with us and being a part of this community for so long, man. Thank you so much. All right, what's next?
Okay, Joshua Main with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Joshua.
Hi, John and crew. I've been working in the film industry since late 2022. It's a very tumultuous time to start. And although it's truly been a dream job, I have been thinking about becoming more of a film journalist like yourself. Any advice on what steps I could take?
Honestly, the advice, whenever people ask me this, I always have to give the advice that none of them want to hear. Okay. The advice you don't want to hear: go to school, take journalism. Now, then it becomes like, I am not a film journalist. Let's be clear about that. I'm a pundit. Okay. I'm a commentator. I'm a pundit. I am not a journalist.
Yeah. We react to the news.
Yeah. We give our thoughts, our perspectives and stuff on the news. Journalists, like real journalists, they know how to actually like get the news, report the news, how to get the information and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a journalist. Now, if you want to become a film journalist, definitely go to school. There's School of Broadcast Journalism, all that kind of stuff. Go to USC, go wherever. Now, if you're thinking journalist as in you want to be an internet commentator like me, well, then listen, I've got a video up on my channel. Just search YouTube, John Campea Getting Started. If you just search for that, the top couple results are going to be some videos I've made over the years about just that. Like one of the videos is like 2+ hours long. And so I would really say go and take a look at that. But right off the top, my thought is don't think you're just going to write to other websites and say, put me on as one of your things. It's not the way to do it. If you really want to know how to do it, start your own blog, start your own podcast, start your own YouTube channel, show that you can build an audience, show that you can do it well. And then once you've done that, then approach other places and don't just say, I'm sure I can do this. You can write to other places and say, see how I have already been doing this. And that's probably the best start. But again, what everybody really wants to hear is what's the magic pill you take that just makes you successful in this, and they don't want to hear the answer. The answer is either go to school or start your own thing, build it up, show that you can do it and that you can build and sustain an audience.
Right.
And people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear the work you have to do to get there. They just want to hear, where's the magic button I press that makes me successful? So if you're honestly asking, if you want to be a film journalist, honestly, best advice I can give personally is go to school. If you want to become just an online pundit, like a nobody like myself, then start your own thing and show that you can do it. And that's my best advice.
There you go.
All right, what's next?
Bungo says, did you see the trailer for The King of Kings? Charles Dickens' narration, the story of Jesus. Cast includes Forrest Whitaker, Ben Kingsley, Kenneth Branagh, Pierce Brosnan, Uma Thurman, Mark Hamill, and Oscar Isaac as Jesus. Great cast for a Christian movie. I think I saw a post about it, but I haven't seen the trailer.
No, I haven't even heard of it, and it instantly doesn't have any interest to me. So to be honest with you, but no, I haven't heard of the movie. I haven't seen the trailer, and I'm not interested in it. All right, what's next?
John M says, John, was Zoe Saldana winning an Oscar? How close is she goated territory?
No, nowhere near it. Like not even in the conversation. That's a ridiculous question.
She's now got one of the most prestigious awards, been multiple top grossing all-time movies, and has played both artsy and popular movies.
I desperately love Zoe Saldana. Okay, I've met with her several times. I've got to interview her several times. She's awesome. But she's not remotely in the conversation. Like, she's a great actress, but she's not remotely. By the way, being in a big successful movie does not mean you're one of the great actors of all time, right? It just doesn't. It just means you got to be a part of some of the biggest movies of all time. Yes, she's been in the Avengers movies. She's been in the Avatar movies. Yes, but now she's got an Oscar. Great. Let's have this conversation again when she's won 2 more. If she wins a couple more, gets 4 or 5 more nominations, then maybe she can get into the conversation. And make sure you understand, I am not dragging on Zoe Saldana. She's wonderful, but she's not in that conversation at all. Not at this point. There's only 6 or 7 actresses that get to be in that conversation. And Zoe Saldana right now is not one of those names. Not yet. Does she have the potential to get there? Sure. But right now, not even in the conversation. All right. What's next?
John M says, the Ben Stiller production design was hilarious with the stage, and overall the humor just seemed to hit well.
Yeah. You know what that Ben Stiller bit reminded me of? One of my favorite moments in the Oscars of the last 5 years is the John Cena giving away Best Costuming Award. When he came out completely naked.
Oh, man.
And he just says, costumes.
Yeah.
And it was so perfect. Yes, it reminded me of that. Ben Stiller's awesome. I'm surprised there wasn't a Severance joke. But by the way, you know what else nobody's mentioned? Nick Offerman narrating the Oscars.
Right.
And I'm surprised they didn't do something when they had Amy Poehler come out. But whatever. But yeah, that was pretty cool. All right, what's next?
John follows up. Was I the only one that thought the best original song winner singing a bit at the end was a bit weird?
Yes, it was absolutely a bit weird. But you know what?
Because it kept going.
Yeah,
it kept kind of going.
That's the problem. You sing a line from it, that's charming. You keep going and going, that's like Stop trying to make fetch a thing. It's never going to be a thing. It was, but you know what? Again, this is somebody who probably never in their lifetime thought they would be on the stage at the Oscars accepting an Academy Award. And you know what? Give them a pass. Like, was it cringy? Yes. But I give them a pass for it because you're not really you got so much adrenaline. You are so hyped up. I mean, I can't even imagine it. All right, what's next?
Hey, John M says, did Timothée Chalamet have one of the craziest years as an actor ever?
Yes.
Wonka, Dune 2, Complete Unknown, all released in under 400 days. Also wish Ralph Fiennes would have won. Congrats to the amazing Brody, but had a deep want for Fiennes to win.
Yeah, I was cheering for Rafe to win. I mean, again, I adore Adrian Brody, and his performance in The Brutalist is staggeringly good, well-deserved. But I mean, again, I've said for many years now that ever since Gary Oldman won for playing Winston Churchill, once he won, he was off the board. Ralph Fiennes is the greatest actor in the world without an Academy Award. He's getting dangerously close to being passed by Timothée Chalamet. Timothée Chalamet may very well surpass Ralph Fiennes as the best actor in the world without an Oscar yet. But yeah, I was cheering for Rafe, man. But he's still got more years. He's still got more years. I still think he's going to get one. All right, what's next?
Mad Dolphin fan says, I love that Sean Baker used his Oscar speech to promote the theatrical experience, especially knowing all the Netflix bigwigs were there.
I mean, yeah, and he waited for his last win to do it. Right? That was good. By the way, I did like that great little sketch that Conan did about it's streaming. What did they call it?
Yeah.
Cinema streams.
Cinema stream.
Yeah. They're like, is this a movie? It's cinema streams.
It's like 800 phones patched together.
They're like,
well, how do I press play?
Yeah.
We do it for you.
And he's like, they were like, how do I hold it? They're like, the building holds it.
The wall.
Hold it.
It's so funny. It was really well done. And yes, I love that him. And you saw that Quentin Tarantino in the background as he was giving that speech about the theatrical experience.
Oh, yeah, that nod?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great to see because they're right. The theatrical experience is movies.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the movies always beats watching a movie. It's always the way, and I'm really glad he took time to do that. And it was great seeing Quentin Tarantino being there as he was giving that speach. All right, what's next?
Raymond Verada, congrats to Sean Baker and Anora. Disney will hire Baker and Mikey Madison for the next Star Wars or MCU film. You guys have all the money. Nikki Glazer gave Sadler the best shout out since the Globes. Chalamet, kudos to Nick Offerman as announcer.
God, there was a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Bring that up again. But yeah, that's the other thing I forgot. The Adam Sandler bit.
Right. Chalamet.
Chalamet.
Nobody noticed what I was wearing until you brought it up.
Yep.
I thought that was a great moment. I did like that a lot. All right.
Not you guys. It's him.
It's him. If you want to come join me, I'm going to be playing a pickup basketball game. It was really good. All right, what's next?
Send me a Blade script says Hulu ending the Oscars live stream early has to be one of the worst streamer experiences I've ever had. It cut out right before the Best Actress Oscars. Felt a little empty this year for me, especially with the lack of Dune 2 recognition. Denis deserved more.
Yeah, I mean, but look, there's every year there are people who don't get nominated. I think that should and stuff like that, but it doesn't take away from the experience. Like, look, again, it is staggering to me that Denis Villeneuve did not get nominated for Best Director. Like that, he didn't have to win. He should have won, but he didn't have to win. But I'm still staggered that he didn't get nominated. Be that as it may, I didn't think the Oscars were empty at all. I mean, you're talking about movies like Sing Sing, Nickel Boys, Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Wicked. I mean, there are so many fucking awesome movies this year. And to see them all get celebrated and stuff like that. Yeah. Do I think Denis should have been nominated for Best Director? Sure, I do. 100%. You guys know I do. I think Dune 2 is the best movie made in the last 10 years. But it didn't. All right, I'll get over that. But yeah, I thought the Oscars last night were a big win. Not the best Oscars ever, but I thought it was a really solid Oscars last night. I had a good time watching it. All right, what's next?
Chris says, congrats to Anora, my favorite film of 24, for winning Best Picture. Upon Googling, I learned Sean Baker spent significant years growing up where I live. What? Shame on my local media for not celebrating him earlier. I wish I knew he was a local.
It's always fun when you find out somebody's local to you. Like when I found out Oklahoma City Thunder star SGA is actually from my hometown. He went to a high school my cousins went to. He went to my rival high school 10 minutes up the road from me.
He's got that hockey spirit.
He's got the hockey spirit. He's got the hockey warrior mentality, and that's why he's so good.
I know we don't do a lot of sports, but that Thunder record right now is insane.
Them and the other team that's really
Cavaliers
is the Cavaliers, man.
Yeah.
So much. But you know what? We brought up the other day, just a quick thing, that about how they desperately need to do something to fix the NBA's All-Star Weekend, especially when you look at what the NHL just did with hockey, that put the NBA to shame. One of the proposals that came up was, why don't we make it where the All-Star game becomes Team USA versus Team the World?
Huh.
And at first, I thought that's a great idea. But then I thought about it. Team USA would get smashed, destroyed. Because I think what Stephen Abe was bringing up, because who would be your starting lineup for Team World? SGA, Luka Doncic, probably the best basketball player in the world the last few years, the Joker, Djokovic. Then you'd have Giannis. You'd have the Greek Freak, and then a list of players that could be that 5 spot. That kills any USA team you put together right now. So, I mean, it would be really interesting to see, but maybe that'll light the fires and really get some interest and some passion going in the NBA All-Star Weekend again. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Oh yeah. And Wemby as your 5.
I don't know. You can't beat the 3 with Lillard and Curry and Thompson and then James. That's a 3-point threat right there.
Yeah. Called the AARP team.
All
right. What's
Anonymous
next?
says, hey, John and crew, did you guys catch the WWE Elimination Chamber event over the weekend? Great show all around. But the end has to be one of the most shocking twists in pro wrestling I've seen. Love to hear your thoughts.
Now, I don't really watch wrestling much anymore. I'll watch WrestleMania every year, and then I'll watch 1 or 2 pay-per-views a year. But it's so funny because this weekend, Ann and I went to Vegas, and while we were there, we found out Kevin Hart was performing.
Oh, wow.
And I've gone to live Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld. I some of the best stand-up shows I've ever seen, but I never seen Kevin Hart live. And I like Kevin Hart. So Ann's sister was with us too. So we decided, let's go see the Kevin Hart show. He was performing at Resorts World. So we went. It was one of the funniest stand-up shows I had ever seen. He had 3 opening comedians, all members of the Plastic Cup Boys, and they were all funny. Kevin Hart slayed. Listen, you can think whatever you think about Kevin Hart, about how much you do or don't like his movies. That's all fair. I was not ready for how just so naturally funny the dude is. I was floored by it. Now, the reason I bring up the Kevin Hart show is because I put up a post on social media about, Ann and I got to go see Kevin Hart tonight. And the first 2 comments were, John Cena turned heel. That was the first 2 comments on my social media post was John Cena turned heel. So it was clearly a very big deal for a lot of people around the world. All right. What's next?
Okay, we got a 3-parter from the canon. I found that the more my favorite movie content creators get involved in the industry, the more the reviews have changed. They seem to give more grace or critique on the technical accomplishments and don't talk as much about their experience, the impact of the story on their emotions and thoughts. I know there is no right or wrong answer, but what are your thoughts about putting more weight on production achievement versus how the final product hits you? As a fan of the Oscars, I lean toward technicals when rating movies too. It also it allows you to be more organized and consistent when comparing movies. but I usually prefer reviews to dissect their thoughts and feelings on a movie rather than break down the process of making the movie.
I think there's a place for absolutely a place. Like one of the whole reasons I made my first movie, which was The Anniversary, one of the main reasons I made that movie was so, as a film pundit, I wanted to better appreciate what these filmmakers go through and what they do, so that when I'm reviewing films, I can have a broader appreciation for what it is they're doing. However, at the end of the day, you guys know one of my main mantras is this: movies are, you know what they are? They're experiential events. And at the end of the day, I don't care what technical prowess you put into a film, if it doesn't deliver that experience, then it doesn't really matter. Like, you can have a chef. One of the places Ann and I ate this weekend was Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen in Vegas. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your technical skill as a chef is and how technically right the dish is. If when I start to eat it, I'm not overwhelmed by the experience of eating the food, then it's great if you aged this way and you seasoned this way. If at the end of the day, you don't deliver a delicious dish, all that other stuff doesn't really matter. So I absolutely believe there is 100% a place for discussion about the technical merits and what goes into making a film. Absolutely, I believe that. However, at the end of the day, it's all about the experience you had watching it. That is by far the most important thing. So yeah, I completely appreciate when certain guys in movie fandom and movie punditry get into filmmaking more, and it kind of changes the way they look at film. I get that 100%, 100%. Chris is one of the guys doing that right now, which I think is great. But at the end of the day, all that matters is when you watch the movie, what experience does it create for you? Because if you don't deliver that, I don't care what technical things you did well. You got to deliver on the final product. Anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. All right, what's next?
I mean, as a two-parter, this year the Oscars really showed their respect for the art of cinema, the actual filmmakers and creatives behind and in front of the camera, and of course shine light on the importance of movie theater going experience. Bravo to the Academy.
That's one of the things I think they did really well, was really also shining a light that, hey guys, movies aren't just the directors and the actors.
Right.
It's all these people, all these things that go into it. And like hundreds of people that are involved in it. And so I think the Oscars, number one, should be about celebrating the movies of that year, and they did. Celebrating the industry as a whole, and they did. And shine a light on the people who bring the magic to us. And I think on all three of those things, it was check, check, check. That's why I think this year's was actually pretty darn good Oscars. All right, what's next?
And follows up, felt like everyone there truly loved movies. Conan was a great host. I hope he comes back next year. With an opening from Cynthia and Ariana, best opening in years. The winners are all deserving, and in my opinion, the right people won an Oscar.
Yeah, I hate the term "the right people won."
Yeah,
that just means the people you would have picked won, right? I like to stay away from the right person won. So like when I'm talking about like best actress, listen, if Demi had won, I would have had zero complaints because she was well deserving. But Mikey Madison was also well deserving. And I would have myself given her the award, but I'm not going to sit here and say the right person won per se. You know what I mean? It's semantics, but but yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Thomas Bombadil says, seriously, after episode 7, give Severance all the Emmys. Heck, give them Oscars, BAFTAs, Grammys, Tony Awards, give them Pulitzers and Spelling Bee medals and Nobel Prizes. This show is everything I thought. This episode was an absolute masterpiece.
Did you see episode 7 yet, Ray?
No, I've just finished 4.
Because I know you love this show.
Yeah.
Like I still remember, I was shocked when you watched season 1 how much you like this thing.
I'm gonna be honest. After 4, I have to rewatch it. It totally confused me. I was on track the first season, pretty much all the way. Every minor questions I would ask you, I would ask anyone watching, they would answer it. Then it would completely make sense. I completely got lost during episode 4. I have no idea.
The camping one? Where they
I have no idea why. Yeah, they were walking in the snow.
Yeah,
in the waterfall.
Yeah.
And this and that, and they met the people with the goats.
Yeah, it's the same episode.
I I'm either gonna have to go and read explanation, but I would rather just rewatch it, and then maybe there's some small part that maybe while I was eating I didn't listen to, didn't hear, that I missed, which would make it completely make sense. But yeah, I'm totally lost right now. But I'm glad the season is actually. Would you say so far it's well, no. Yeah, because the first season was just.
I'm loving this season. I am. I'm loving this season. I still think season 1 was better so far. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not love episode 7.
Oh, okay. So you have
if you were like, to me this year, if you're talking about episode 7, you're talking about Paradise. Paradise episode 7. Oh my God. I got to admit, while I liked getting a little bit more background, basically without giving too much away to you, Ray, episode 7 is really more giving the background. It's more like a flashback episode. It's the background on Mark's wife.
Okay.
And
okay.
It's really more on her. I'll be honest with you, I did not think it was all that great. I think it gave us some important information. I think it's going to lay the groundwork for stuff that's coming. But for me, the award for best episode 7 goes to Paradise. Like that Paradise episode 7 to me was crazy.
But also, if you give like a whole episode, dedicate a whole episode, this is in general, to a character that hasn't really been on the show, does that usually mean they're going to be a bigger part of the show?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, like what episode 7 of Severance did was show that she is very important, not just to Mark. She is very important. But again, it's like what I was talking about a little bit earlier, right? Like, it's like, oh, but they did this in episode 7. They did this. This is a great example of you can do certain things that are good, but at the end of the day, what was the experience like watching it? And let me be clear. Anne loved the episode. I didn't dislike it, but it didn't hit me nearly as well.
I like moving forward episodes. And if you want to do flashbacks, do it in snippets while the story moves forward. I'd rather have that. But I haven't seen it, so who knows? Maybe I'll love it.
All right. I know Anne did. All right, what's next?
Brian says, thoughts on the Vanity Fair interview with Chris Monday on Lanterns. He said, we're not a part of a larger storytelling plan right now. Season 1 will be its own thing. I was hoping to see Aaron Pierre on the big screen sooner than later. Guess not.
I love it. I love that cinematic universes have storytellers that are focused on their story.
Yeah.
It's like Green Lanterns is not meant as a doorway to the next thing or the next thing. Yeah, these are all happening in the same universe, and at some point they're going to kind of tie together. But the purpose of this show is to be a great show. Much like Penguin. The purpose of Penguin was to be a great show. And if you focus as somebody who's putting together a new cinematic universe, if you just keep your focus not on how does all this tie together, but you worry about that stuff later. You put your main creative energy behind making this movie great, making this show great. If you just make your shows and your movies great, everything else will fall into place. You put your attention on how this all ties together without having your focus on making the individual product great, you're going to get yourself in trouble real quick.
Just from that shot that they revealed to us with those two, man, that looks like it's big screen ready.
I agree. It looks cinematic.
A lot of the Max behind the scenes shots, compare that to, let's say, Agatha, like a behind the scenes Agatha. Like, they know how to release their photos, because I looked at that photo, I was like, they're going to be talking to... what's his name who plays Guy Gardner in Superman? What's his name? Or who's Nathan Fillion?
Oh, you're talking in the movie?
Yeah. I was like, how are they gonna? Just from that shot, just in my head, I didn't know it was just a show. So I thought they were gonna cross over with the Green Lantern and Superman.
Nobody said we're not going to see Nathan Fillion in it. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Brian says, why is Matt Reeves producing anything DC related that's not involved with the Batverse? A Mike Flanagan Clayface would fit perfectly into, but isn't it a waste of time for Reeves? He needs to be working full time on his universe.
Well, remember, guys, the term producer can mean a lot of things. There have been people who have literally done 15 minutes of something or made some phone calls, and they get a producer credit. There's a difference, and honestly, Hollywood needs to come up with better terminology, because there is the producer of the film who is truly the active person who makes everything happen. and brings it all together and makes the movie come into being. And then you go on the IMDb and there can be like 18 other people listed as producer, executive producer, associate producer, co-producer, like all these different things. So Matt may be doing a lot. He's probably doing something important on it, but is not really all that involved. So I wouldn't really worry about it that much. All right, what's next?
All right, we got about 16 here. Amin says, I love the Fab Five format last year, but I think they fumbled the acting categories this year. Felt like they were trying to do a blend. Can't help but feel their plans were messed up because of Carla. Either do the Fab Five right or stick to the clips.
I disagree. I think it works great. But here's the thing. I pointed out to Anne and as we were watching the show last night, when they were doing the best supporting actor and best supporting actress, the presenter came out and gave a little speech about each of the nominees. Because of the controversy behind the one in Amelia Perez, they didn't want to put that pressure on the presenter.
Yeah.
So for neither the best actor or best actress did they do a little speech about each of the nominees like they
right.
did
It
in
was
the
just one
supporting
person.
actor and supporting actress.
Okay.
They just said, these 5 nominees gave us this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Here are the nominees. I like both. I like, somebody coming out and giving a big speech about each of the nominees. I'm all for that. I'm also all for the way they did Best Actor and Best Actress. Do either. Do a mix of either. I don't really care. To me, it all worked.
Oh, this is some the little things they do before the award is presented later. You mean, or is it right before they present the award?
What they started doing a year or two ago is like last year's winner of Best Actor will come out, or they'll have like
Right.
like
okay.
5 different people come out.
Okay.
And they give a little as they're about to
Right.
present like Best Actor, they do a little speech about each of the nominees and then present the award.
Okay.
And they didn't do that this year with Best Actor and Best Actress. I thought it worked fine. I did. All right, what's next?
We got Amin who says 2 more quick points. Demi Moore getting passed up for a younger, brighter star. Someone should really make a movie about that.
I get it.
Mikey fully deserved to win. Also, Brody gave the longest speech in Oscar history. I did need an intermission, though. It did need an intermission, just
Listen.
like his movie.
I love Adrian Brody and kudos to him for winning. No, I have no issues with him winning. He's fantastic. And his performance in The Brutalist was amazing. That being said, I was sitting there as he was giving his speech and it was starting to go along. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, did my thing, decided to, because the stuff I had felt like I had something caught in my teeth from away. So I flossed while I was in there.
This guy had all-
I washed my hands, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
dried them, came back out, and I'm like, holy shit, is he still talking?
This guy got fitted for tux for no reason.
I'm just like, is he still talking? I couldn't believe it. Anyway. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. Let's see. Oop, hang on. I just lost my spot. Ryan says, hi, John. Following up from last week, I sent in the Amazon link for Oscar Wars book. Hope you find it fascinating as a read as I did. The whole book was full of movie and Academy history, and I was completely unaware of.
Yes, I did get that, and I got the link, and I'm looking forward to diving into it. Thanks for sharing that with me, Ryan.
And then Ryan's, and then with a $20 tip, so 30 altogether.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hey, John and crew, I thought the Oscar ceremony was fantastic. Not perfect, 7-minute James Bond dance sequence, but Conan was an excellent host, and I liked how they presented the original song nominees with commentary by the songwriters.
Again, I think they finally cracked the code. They cracked the code on how to properly present the best song Oscar. That was the way to do it. I think they nailed it. I love that they did the tribute to Bond. I don't know that it needed the full song, literal song and dance number. I think they probably could have done without that, but I did like that they did the tribute to it in general, though. So yeah, I'm right with you on that. Thank you again, Ryan. I appreciate that, dude. All right, what's next?
Hot take that shouldn't. The Oscars need to add categories for best voice actor and actress.
Nope.
Brian Tyree Henry's performance in Transformers 1 alone is an argument for why.
No. Listen, not until there's a much larger field, right? That's part of the reason why I don't even, I have many reasons why I don't think there should be a best animated category. Number one, just because the Oscars use it as an excuse not to give the proper respect to animated films by giving them Best Picture nominations when they deserve it. But that's besides the point. Like, when you have Best Writer, you're literally competing against a field of hundreds and thousands of films. When you're up for Best Director, you're literally competing against that. There's not a big enough field yet for voice acting. Not a big enough field for it yet for the Academy Awards. Which is one of the reasons why, like, there should be a Best Motion Capture category. I don't agree. There's just not enough of a field. You need a bigger field first. And movies will get there. But until there's a big enough field of possible competition, I don't think there should be categories for it. Not yet. All right, what's next?
Ronetta with a two-parter. Hi, y'all. The Oscars were okay. Conan was good. Cynthia and Ariana, my God, they sound so good together. Love them both. Cynthia is a goddess. She's so good. There were some funny moments for me. Anora cleaned up, good for them. Kudos. And then Ronetta. Oh, I wish they did a better job of that tribute to Quincy Jones. That man had a plethora of scores for movies. Do you think the Oscars is going to eventually be moved to a streaming platform like some others? Curious.
Well, I mean, with the Quincy Jones thing, they did it perfectly. You can't spend 10 minutes on one guy. I mean, they didn't spend 10 minutes on anybody else, even Gene Hackman in the In Memoriam, right? So I thought they give the very fact that they even gave it its own musical number for the Quincy Jones thing with the Whizz's Get On Down the Road. I mean, I thought that was a lot.
Did not expect to hear the Wiz or He's On Down last night.
No, that would not have been on my bingo card.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think they should have done any more. I thought the very fact that he got his own dedicated thing was incredible. So, and do it doesn't, looks, I think ultimately everything is going to move to streaming. Everything at some point is going to move to streaming. So they clearly still have some wrinkles to iron out though, right? They still clearly have some wrinkles to iron out. All right, what's next?
Big Mouth Stan, do you think that Shrek 5 teaser will cause DreamWorks to bring back Shrek's original animation style? Well, we've seen a studio do this already with the Sonic movie after the backlash online. I personally believe they won't change anything.
Nope, I don't think they'll change it, and they shouldn't. It looked great. It looked great.
I really just didn't mind it. I don't know what I'm...
It looked a little different than it did 25 years ago, but I don't think they need to make it look, well, this is how it looked when we did animation 25 years ago. I think it looked great. I had no issues with it. Did it look a little bit different? Yeah. But the differences were good. So no, I don't think they're going to change it. See, that's different from like, people just didn't like how Sonic looked. The crying about the Shrek thing is more, that doesn't look exactly how I remembered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but does it look good? I think it still looked good. All right, what's next?
Generic Man, can you think of any niche genre film that transcended its genre and got nominated for performance or Best Picture Oscar? Animation, horror, documentary, action, etc. The only instance I can think of is maybe The Substance and Lion King.
I don't see how Lion King is that big of a niche thing. I mean, you don't have to go far back.
Animation isn't a niche. They're the biggest movies of the year.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, that's all of everything you just said. Small, niche, genre, indie, all together. Yeah, it happens more times than you would think. Like, it happens quite often, I think. All right, what's next?
Reggie says, Hulu was horrendous for me. The awards weren't airing on Disney Plus Hulu, and then I missed 40 minutes of the show because their servers were overloaded.
That continues. I don't know why that's still a problem. Like, I remember a couple of years ago with Disney Plus, like whenever a new episode, like particularly in season 1 of Mandalorian, when a new episode would drop, you had to spend like 20 minutes just trying to log on. I was like, guys, get this fixed. And clearly people had the same problem with like Netflix with the fights and stuff like that. So they got to figure out a way to get this straight. Again, growing pains, they'll get there, but it is crazy that they don't have issues like this fixed already.
I wonder if it was a situation where it was primarily like global audiences had to do it through Hulu to watch it, and that overloaded the system.
Yeah, maybe, but they needed to be prepared for that. They knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, what's next?
Rushmore, wondering if you've got I got the chance to watch the first 3 episodes of House of David on Amazon. It's been amazing this far. I can't wait for the rest of the season.
I don't even know what it is.
That's the one I think I've seen the ad for. I think it's like a King David movie.
Oh, no.
All of like the Richard Gere kind of thing, but a series.
Yeah, no. I wasn't even aware of it, not familiar with it. If it's a King David thing, probably not interested in it. All right, what's next?
Future Man, $20
Thank you,
tip.
Future Man.
I feel like people didn't watch Dune because it's considered sci-fi, even though it doesn't feel like a sci-fi movie. Villeneuve did an excellent job in making the movie appeal to those who aren't typically sci-fi fans. It's a shame he didn't win Best Director.
Yeah,
he wasn't
but
even nominated. So,
but hold on a second. Like, let's not let's not forget the fact that we say I feel like people didn't see it. The movie made over $700 million.
yeah.
it was a giant hit. The movie made over $700 million. I don't know that it's because it's a sci-fi movie. I mean, in its own way, Avengers movies are sci-fi movies. Star Wars movies are sci-fi movies, right? So I don't think it's because they're sci-fi. I said this right from the beginning. Dune is not going to appeal to everybody because it's heavy into lore and mythology and all this kind of stuff. And it's just not going to be for everybody. So I don't think you can just write it off to saying, oh, it's because it was sci-fi, which, by the way, again, want to reemphasize, the movie made over $700 million. But I think it's much more than that because I myself, like, I remember when people asked me before the movie came out, hey, do you think Dune 2 is going to make $1 billion? I'm like, no. Dune 2 can't make $1 billion. It's the nature of the story is just not going to appeal to everybody because not everybody's into that type of story.
Yeah.
I do think it's the greatest movie of the last 10 years, but I never once thought it would make $1 billion. The fact that it made $700 million to me is amazing. All right, what's next?
Stubble McShave, here's our final three. Phase 4 was phase poor. Phase 5 was phase fine. Which word alludes to 6 will describe the next phase? Will it be phase sick or phase sucks?
What's
see.
phase 5?
He said phase 5.
Yeah.
But what is phase 5?
Like Fast 5.
Well, no,
No.
I don't know.
it's just
Like-
like MCU. It's
like the MCU ended, like Endgame ended
That's-
phase 3.
3.
I'll tell you, Spider-Man only hoped. I don't give a shit what technically is. Endgame ended phase 3.
I've always thought this is all phase 4.
Yeah, I kind of still feel like it's, you know what? Here's the thing. The phases are meaningless. They don't really mean anything. It's just an arbitrary thing. We get it just so we can kind of organize it in
From
our heads.
Avengers to Avengers movie.
Yeah. That's basic. Avengers to Avengers films to me are really what denotes the phases, if you were going to think about it. But I think we give too much. So I mean, I don't know. Listen, I think as much as I have been disappointed with a number of MCU projects, I think the future is very bright. Starting tomorrow, Daredevil, Born Again. After years of talking about it, Daredevil Born Again starts tomorrow. And we got Fantastic Four coming. We got Thunderbolts coming. I think the future looks very, very, very bright for Marvel now that Bob Chapek is gone. And his influence is finally almost being wiped out. So I think everything looks really good right now. All right, what's next?
Okay, so Anonymous says, hi, John and crew. Regarding the leaks that came out a few days ago, it was told that they were leaked by mistake. But in your opinion, could Marvel have leaked them to put hype for the movie and to get the flop of Cap 4?
It's possible. It's also possible they're not legitimate.
Yeah.
Again, be clear, I'm not saying they're not legitimate. I'm just saying I've got to keep that in mind that we've had identical stories to this in years past, and it turned out they weren't real. Right? I'm just saying that to be as a precautionary thing. Now, if they are real, could Disney have intentionally, oopsie, we leaked these pictures to get everybody to move on from talking about the disappointment that was Captain America 4? Yep. And it would be brilliant if they did that. It would be brilliant if they actually did that and this was all orchestrated and by design. Brilliant move. Because the last few weeks, all I've heard about from people is, man, what went wrong with Captain America 4? And ever since these came out, the last few days, I've heard nothing but these pictures. Haven't heard anybody bring up Captain America 4 anymore. So if it is by design, and that's a big if, but if it is, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant on their part. All right, what's next?
Mr. I, this is our final of the tips. I believe the art is fake. Look at the T'Challa pic. There's a figure at the center of the pic. He's covered in wraps, holding a staff, looking at the Panther Castle. Looks like Mumra. I'm not joking.
But it could be anything else from what their mythology is. There's a big, long mythology with Bast and the history of the Black Panthers and Wakanda, right? So it could be a part of that. Again, I don't know whether they're real or not. They very well could be, whatever. But, we'll ultimately find out in a couple of years when we actually see the movies.
Yeah.
And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. We really appreciate you taking out time to join us here. I want to thank the guys in the room with me, Ray Ora.
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
Big thanks to Chris Card and Robert Meyer Burnett. They'll be back again tomorrow. Hopefully you guys will too. Thanks a lot for joining us. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.